Okay, thank you so much, Pallavi. So I, like some of the other speakers, have brought some family along tonight. My husband, don't know if he's heard me talk before. We had a conversation about it, and either I was really boring or he's never heard me. Hopefully it's the latter. And my little daughter Ella there, who's 5. So she's come to hear me tonight. She's very excited to hear Mummy speak. Thank you. So, one of my awesome day jobs is I get to work at the Australian Space Discovery Centre. Now, if you haven't been, it's on Lot 14 on North Terrace, where the old Ra Hospital site was, and it's free to go. So I do encourage you to go and check it out at your earliest convenience. So, space. As Pallavi mentioned, I love bugs and I love space, my 2 favourite topics. So we're going to play a little bit of a game tonight, and I like to call it, Is It Space? Now, the premise is very simple. I'm going to show you a picture, and I want you to respond to me if you think it's space or not space. Very simple. If I show a picture and you think it's space or space related, I want you to yell out, space, right? And we'll test it in a minute. And then if you think it's not space, you just say, not space. Okay, let's test with the very first, very easy slide. Yes, thank you, Ella. Yes, definitely space. We have an astronaut in space, floating above the Earth. Slightly terrifying because they're testing a backpack and they're not tethered. I mean, a jetpack and they're not tethered, but happily the astronaut was safely recovered. So a classic image of space and what we tend to associate with space. But actually space influences our day-to-day lives in many, many ways. What about this one? You say that, but this is where I combine both of my loves, space and bugs. This is space. The very, very first living thing sent into space, strapped to a rocket, was a fruit fly. And it's not to get rid of them. Not that fruit fly. That's the Queensland fruit fly. This is the classic fruit fly, Drosophila melanogaster. It's a great species. It's used in many scientific studies in the lab. 1, because they reproduce really, really quickly. And 2, because even though they look really different, they're actually genetically really similar to humans. So we can study the effects on radiation in space, for example. And in fact, in 2006, they sent I think 15 flies up on a rocket. After several days orbiting around Earth, they came back down, there were 3,000, which just gives you an idea on how fast these guys breed. And they're going to set up a special research station on the ISS, the International Space Station, just looking at fruit flies and how space can affect immune systems, because space affects us in lots of different ways, but immune systems is one of the ways that space can affect us. So, yes. Next one. You're a little bit more hesitant. Come on, take a gamble. What is it? Oh, we're divided here. Not space. This is a courtroom in Texas. It's about as far from space as you can get, although everywhere on Earth technically is 100 kilometres from space. I digress. But space lawyer is a job. If my satellite crashes into your satellite, who are you going to call? Space lawyer, exactly. And it's, more seriously, it's to deal with more ethical issues like who can mine the moon, who owns things in space. We have treaties to say that no one owns things in space. But as we go further into space exploration, we're going to need to sort out these things, and we're going to need ethicists and lawyers working in the space industry to help us navigate these tricky issues. Space. Yes. And what we see here in this particular image is bushfires along the eastern coast of Australia. And, you don't see much through the smoke and haze, but with satellite imagery and satellite technology, infrared imagery, we can cut through the smoke haze and see where the bushfire fronts are, and then inform crews on the ground as to where they need to go in order to better tackle bushfires, which is another example of how space technology is really, really useful, not just on your smartphones for navigating from A to B. Not space. Yes, correct. Excellent. You guys are doing great at this. So, definitely not space. Graffiti artist doing, brightening up the city streetscapes. Really cool. But, once again, images like this are made by artists, conceptual artists who are there to inspire us about Australia's role in space and the future for the Australian space industry. For example, in this image, I see a lot of different jobs involved. We've got engineers, astronauts, scientists, people on the ground, ground control. Someone's got to do that. We can't all be Major Tom. And I see a lot of rovers in there, and Australia is going to be involved in the Moon to Mars mission. We are going to be sending a rover to the moon. So even though this is a concept, a dream of the future, very soon science fiction will become science reality, which is really, really exciting. And who knows, particularly some of the younger people in the audience, although it's never too late for a career change, you might find yourself looking for a space career. You might be the next engineer or programmer who programs a robot, or any one of these jobs. You could be an intelligent game designer for any of those interested in video games, arranging simulations for astronauts to learn how to navigate the space environment. And as you'll slowly see, you might have noticed, the eagle-eyed viewers in the audience, we're forming a rocket. Yes, because we love rockets in space. But that's just a sample of some of the careers in the space industry. And over the next year, up until 2030, we expect there to be 20,000 jobs in the space sector. And a lot of those are happening right here in Adelaide, which is the heart of the Australian space industry, which, I don't know about you, I find that pretty exciting. Thanks so much.